Holy shit. He said what?
Meghan Markle's sister Samantha Markle is not backing down.
Things just got a whole load worse for Meghan Markle because her sister Samantha ain't going anywhere.
Was our father. So we have to include the men when we are self-glorifying. You know, there's got to be some acknowledgement there.
Particularly going after her wonderful half-sister Samantha.
And suddenly you just have my mom who's classy and quiet and there, and then you have the other side of my family that is just...
Because I think he has personality profile that perfectly enables someone who is an alleged narcissist.
Sister Samantha Markle, who joins me live from the US. Samantha, I have to say, this was one of the most nauseating, horrible
A clear motive for writing family off because it would seemingly justify and perhaps delay the revelation of all of the lies that she had told the royal family.
And not a surprise here because, yeah, she lies a lot about her stuff. We've caught her in so many lies. Her own sister has come forward, her family, everybody is exposing the lies that she's been telling.
She delivered it like an actress delivered it, and Oprah responded going, wow.
In my opinion, she would still be a waitress if it wasn't for Dad.
They want to hide their secrets, and I just love digging away to find out what they don't want us to know.
I don't like to say it, but I gotta say it. I don't know of anybody that cold to do this.
Yeah, well, it's as if Meghan is now trying to turn your own daughter against you.
Right. We're paying multi-million-dollar PR firms to tell your story the way you controlled it, the way you wanted it told, while you also disparaged and silenced others.
I think she's taking advantage of a very weakened man and getting him to say things that you just shouldn't be saying on television.
You know, she's without getting into politics, you know, just looking at the Aspen Institute, for instance, you know, Harry's part of that. And that makes him one of 50 people that decide what is to be considered to be misinformation on the internet.
It started as a whisper, but now it's exploding into a legal bombshell. Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, is suddenly facing a courtroom showdown that could blow her carefully crafted image apart.
We were kind of puzzled when both sides of the family were kept away from the royal wedding, and we started wondering, what's up with this? Like, why? And we started to realize, aha, when you have a wedding and people start drinking champagne at the reception, they start talking.
The media once called her irrelevant, but now her own half-sister, Samantha Markle, is dragging her back into the spotlight. The lawsuit everyone thought was dead, it's back.
I'll tell you why. What she told the royal family, what she told Harry, wouldn't have jived, wouldn't have been consistent with the truth.
And this time Samantha isn't playing nice. She's louder, sharper, and claims she has the receipts. Insiders say Meghan's inner circle is already in panic mode, and for good reason.
Only for a day and a half. Suddenly, it felt like she was everywhere. I don't know your middle name. I don't know your birthday. I hadn't had her fall out with her. We didn't have a closeness to be able to have that.
Let's rewind, because this isn't just a petty sibling fight anymore. What's happening now feels like a cold, calculated legal strike, and it's tearing holes in the image Meghan has been selling since that explosive Oprah interview.
Wow, because no one tuned in to your first crappy podcast where all you did was lecture us on feminism, and everyone hated it. Remember, she was so...
Back then, she was painted as the brave victim telling her truth. But Samantha's side is flipping the script, hinting that Meghan's truth was nothing more than a staged performance, perfect lighting, dramatic music, and all.
It's lie upon lie upon lie.
This time, they say they've got a strategy sharp enough to cut right through it. And remember Meghan's big win before? Samantha's first defamation case was tossed out in seconds.
The victim of those vicious attacks, Samantha Markle, joins me now to give her side of the story. And look, Samantha, we had Tom Bauer on earlier, who is obviously...
Judges once ruled Meghan's words were just opinions, not solid facts that could be attacked in court. But that dismissal didn't kill the fight. It gave Samantha's lawyers a playbook of what went wrong, almost like a cheat sheet for revenge.
So, and also, you know, even it goes down to the lawyer saying that in that statement, when they had that long attack on the Mail, which is astonishing, that Meghan, we know she lied in her statement.
And they've used it. The new appeal doesn't waste time repeating old stuff. It goes for something deadlier, intent.
Paying half attention to Daily Mail headlines. that runs through her life is she's blowing up families. I mean, she seems like she's really caused a lot of problems in her husband's family. Clearly, she's gone after your family.
Samantha's team now says Meghan didn't just share her truth. She carefully scripted it, knowing it would destroy her sister's name. Let that sink in. This isn't about what Meghan said anymore. It's about why she said it.
So she's trying to make out there that she has no form of relationship with you.
Well, that's been the rhetoric so far, and I think, I was never out there saying...
Now, the fight isn't about what Meghan said. It's about what she knew when she said it. That's a brutal twist because suddenly this isn't about hurt feelings. It's about whether Meghan weaponized her platform to crush someone she knew couldn't fight back. And legally, that changes everything.
It was a dreadful thing to do and actually completely wrong. He is quite hard and harsh.
He became hypersensitive and blamed the media for the crashes of his relationship.
This doesn't look like a messy family feud anymore. It's being framed as a ruthless power play with real legal bite. Samantha's lawyers even claim they've got private communications, emails, texts, maybe even recordings, showing Meghan's team expected the backlash against her sister. And if true, that wasn't an accident, it was strategy. A staged narrative to shine the spotlight on Meghan while shoving Samantha under the bus.
We thought, my brother and I thought, a pretty normal life. But it wasn't until the time of the wedding when the media started to get to us. In other words, we didn't seek out the media.
And that Netflix documentary, it's now the weapon at the center of Samantha's case.
I don't think anybody at Netflix could have seen the show before it went out, because it's not entertainment. It's not edifying in any way. It's really, really bizarre.
Some legal experts even call it a second wave of defamation. The Oprah interview was one night of emotions, but the Netflix series was something else. Months of filming, editing, and polishing. That long timeline makes it harder for Meghan to claim it was off the cuff. She had endless chances to rethink her words, but didn't.
It's living a life that she's winning and she's doing all these great things, but the reality is not that. The reality is
And here's the real blow. This wasn't a small audience. The series went worldwide 6 episodes, translated in dozens of languages, streamed in over 200 million homes. Suddenly, Samantha's reputation damage isn't just personal. It's global, measurable, and burned into streaming history. And Samantha's lawyers plan to use that reach to prove just how deep the hit really goes.
In my opinion, this is what it seemed like. Seal off the hatches so nobody can talk. And almost instantly, it seemed as though dirt was being thrown upon us so that if somebody did speak to us that...
Samantha's lawyers are treating that global reach like live dynamite. They argue the Netflix series didn't just repeat old claims, it supercharged them.
Stuck because she was an actress who became a real princess, who wants to be an actress again, but has to continue to pretend to be a real princess.
With big budget editing, dramatic music, and slick visuals, they say Meghan turned Samantha into a global villain. And here's the real danger for Meghan. If even part of that sticks, her defense could crumble fast. Because when personal opinion crosses into false claims made with intent to destroy, the law stops calling it free speech. It calls it defamation. Samantha's team isn't asking politely either. They're demanding action.
I do that from Florida when he's in Rosarito, Mexico. I don't have telekinesis.
Yeah, because they're trying to say, just to clarify, Samantha, for people who haven't watched the horrible Boar Fest, Meghan tried to claim that someone had intercepted her father's phone, presumably you, and that you were...
And whispers inside the 11th Circuit suggest judges are listening closely. This could be Meghan's most dangerous moment yet, not in the headlines, but in the courtroom.
That weren't real in the media and always out there. So it's not like we were out there trying to... Yeah, it was very weird.
And what's so horrible about what she's done in this TV show is
This fight is heading into the courtroom, and this time Meghan doesn't control the cameras. The real shock isn't the arguments, it's the evidence Samantha's team is ready to unleash.
Effective commercial of sorts, then.
Yeah. Were you surprised, Samantha, that your sister tried to make out that she's some sort of repressed.
Insiders say they're sitting on mountains of proof, not teary stories or vague claims, but cold receipts, screenshots, timestamps, police reports, even medical and psych files.
Meghan Markle's exhaustingly sycophantic and woke new podcast where she ramps up the victimhood with her apparent BFF, Serena Williams, despite them both being
And this isn't just about calling Meghan a villain. It's about building a case so heavy even the toughest judge can't ignore it.
Watched the series. Has Thomas watched so far? Because this must be incredibly hurtful to him.
No, we briefed him, but I didn't want him to watch because, like everything, it's lie upon lie upon lie. And he's been through so much, 2 heart attacks and a stroke. And
Sources close to Samantha's team say the fallout from Meghan's interviews was brutal. Samantha was buried under hundreds of death threats, not a handful, an avalanche. So serious, law enforcement had to step in.
And particularly going after her wonderful half-sister, Samantha.
And suddenly you just have my mom, who's classy and quiet and there, and then you have the other side of my family that is just acting differently. My half-sister, who I hadn't seen for...
And this wasn't just random trolling. It spiraled into doxing, stalking, and organized smear campaigns that destroyed any sense of normal life for Samantha. Her lawyers now claim they can trace the biggest waves of abuse.
Some key clips from the podcast, and I'll get you to review as we go. So during the chat with Serena, she appeared to suggest that ambition...
Straight back to Meghan's public appearances, every spike lining up with her media spotlight. That's the bombshell. Not just that the attacks happened, but when they happened and what triggered them.
It was planned from the beginning.
Samantha's attorneys call it influencer harassment, the idea that a celebrity can unleash an army of online attackers without ever giving the order. And in this case, the claim is chilling. Meghan knew the storm was coming, and she went ahead anyway.
Samantha Markle joins me now to give her side of the story. And look, Samantha, we had Tom Bauer on earlier, who has obviously researched both sides of the story, and he's with you. He thinks Meghan is telling porcupines. But let's respond to what she...
By painting her half-sister as toxic or unstable, Meghan had to know she was unleashing an army of loyal fans and online attackers. And if a judge agrees with that, the fallout could be explosive. Legal experts say this case could rewrite the rules of defamation in the social media era.
I just recently found out, it's really sad because Ashley and I were on talking terms. We were, I thought, bonding after not speaking for a while, even though we did speak. I wanted my kids to be raised with their grandparents because I didn't trust babysitters.
If proven, it means celebrities can't just hide behind "I was telling my story" when their words trigger real, measurable harm. The stakes are huge because this isn't just about Meghan saying something cruel. She's being accused of weaponizing her fame. And for Samantha, the damage isn't just her name. It's something far more personal.
Dirt was being thrown upon us so that if somebody did speak to us, that we would have no credibility. So it was an interesting phenomenon, and this vicious cycle of wanting to set the record straight, wondering what was going on with her, wanting to give her the benefit of the doubt, and still all the while feeling like
the damage isn't just to Samantha's reputation, it's to her mind. Her lawyers have mental health experts ready to testify she suffered PTSD, crippling anxiety, and lasting trauma directly linked to Meghan's words and the chaos that followed.
The motive be for keeping both sides of the family away.
That's right.
The stories would come out. So apparently, according to other journalists, we found out that there were a lot of porcupines probably told to the royals and even to Harry when they met her, and in order to cover up.
They're bringing receipts, therapy transcripts, medical diagnoses, even prescriptions. The point is brutal. This wasn't a moment of hurt feelings. It was a full-blown mental breakdown that changed her life forever. And now a new layer is surfacing, one that's already sending shockwaves through Meghan's inner circle.
Wow.
Firstly, wow, what a porcupine. When that happened, also at the same time, we had found out that with my dad's heart attack, the Queen and King Charles wanted to reach out, but we heard that my sister said no. Similarly with this, I just recently found
discovery, the stage Meghan's team fears most. If the appeals court pushes this case forward, she could be forced to cough up private emails, texts, even behind the scenes. Production notes from those headline-making interviews.
Do you think meeting Harry being with Harry, marrying Harry, has improved your sister's behaviour, or do you think it's made it worse, the whole situation?
That means conversations with Netflix producers, Oprah's crew, and her own PR machine could all land in front of a judge. And insiders say Samantha's lawyers are gunning for every single piece of it. Their goal isn't just to prove Meghan's words were misleading, it's to show she carefully engineered the entire story from day one.
Speak. I wanted my kids to be raised with their grandparents because I didn't trust babysitters. When I was dealing with disability and having to work, I didn't know anyone in Los Angeles well enough that I felt safe with that. So I felt like I was doing the admirable
because you're in a
thing.
wheelchair, Sam, and you were going through.
The claim is that Meghan knew her words would spark chaos, drag her family's name through the mud, and that she and her team used the fallout as fuel to grow her brand.
Half-sister's daughter is. And so, with Ashley, the guidance at the time was to not have her come to our wedding.
Wow.
Firstly, wow, what a porky pie. When that happened,
Suddenly, the excuse of just telling my truth starts to fall apart, especially if private messages show her carefully shaping the story for maximum damage. And here's what really rattles Meghan's legal team. This battle isn't just about silencing one angry sister anymore.
I was lied to, and my sister, in fact, was the one reportedly who told Ashley she couldn't go to the wedding. So I felt like she was manipulating my daughter, lying to her. And that's really sad because my daughter seemingly was holding a grudge and feeling like I was the reason she couldn't come to the wedding.
Well, it's as if Meghan is now trying.
This fight isn't just about Meghan, it's about the survival of the entire Sussex brand. Because if this case hits trial and she loses, the damage won't end in court. Hollywood execs, brand partners, and media producers are all watching, ready to cut ties.
Humble opinion. It's rather lofty to suggest the ability to align with, issues of women.
And Samantha's team knows it. They're not only chasing a legal win, they're aiming to blow up the Sussex media empire in one strike. What began as courtroom whispers is now splashed across national headlines. And inside Meghan's camp, panic is real because the appeals court isn't dismissing Samantha's claims. It's listening.
And by the way, what you're saying is completely correct, Samantha, because I've spoken to lots of my own royal sources as well, and they were always very clear. They never told Meghan who to invite to her own wedding.
The court isn't just hearing Samantha's claims, it's tearing them apart with surgical focus. Judges are even asking if Meghan's polished media training and slick PR tactics blow up her excuse of innocent storytelling. And that's where the danger explodes.
I travelled the world with him and I did really enjoy working with him. But now I really don't care if I ever see him again because the way he's behaved towards the king and our queen and his brother and his sister-in-law is appalling.
Because this case isn't just about what Meghan said. It's about how rehearsed, scripted, and intentional those words may have been. The turning point now hangs on one chilling idea: weaponized storytelling.
Her father is recovering from a stroke, literally about a 3-hour drive. Could you believe that? She doesn't have a father.
No, and that was all lies too. And to suggest that at one point that they...
Legal experts say Samantha's appeal paints Meghan as someone who used emotional storytelling, not to heal, but to manipulate and destroy. Her polished public statements are now being stacked against private messages, and together they paint a disturbing picture.
When she was younger, an English award, 100% a bully brat.
The claim is clear. Meghan's interviews and glossy documentaries weren't about truth. They were about control, spin, and power. And now that spin isn't just being torn apart by lawyers.
And now she doesn't have a father. And I shouldered that. Because if Meg wasn't with me, then her dad would still be her dad.
What?
It's under the microscope of court-appointed experts in communication and psychology. Their job is to study Meghan's on-camera performances and decide if her words were real or just carefully rehearsed.
That was her goal. Hashtag goal.
And here's the danger. If experts say her statements were scripted to smear Samantha's, that alone could blow her defense apart. Because in the eyes of the law, opinion loses protection once it turns into a planned attack. But the most explosive part of Samantha's case may come from discovery. Sources claim there are internal texts, emails, and planning notes between Meghan's team and Netflix producers showing clear forethought on how family would be portrayed.
When she said, "I lost my father," we knew that she didn't lose our dad, she iced our father.
Alleged phrases include control fallout, steer narrative, and strategic distance from Samantha. If these documents hit the courtroom, they could prove intent beyond doubt. And then this stops being family drama. It becomes something much bigger, a case with royal shockwaves that could crack the Sussex brand wide open. Samantha's team is even digging into a riskier angle that the monarchy itself may have known about or even quietly backed some of Meghan's most explosive remarks.
Harry and Meghan, they have an issue when it comes to their memory and when it comes to the truth.
If that link is proven, it won't just be Meghan under fire. The royal institution could be accused of being complicit in defaming private individuals. That possibility has already rattled Buckingham Palace. Insiders say royal lawyers are scrambling to measure the risk. And if subpoenas start flying, it won't just be Meghan in the hot seat.
I don't think she's capable of empathy, remorse, or shame. I don't think she could feel enough to apologize.
It could drag the palace into the courtroom advisors, press officers, maybe even royals who were texting her at the time. The threat of discovery spillover now hangs like a storm about to break, and while that danger builds in court, Meghan's standing in Hollywood is already shaking. Insiders say studios and streamers are quietly backing off.
Enough for Bill Simmons over at the Ringer podcast, which was acquired by Spotify, to call Harry and Meghan, quote, a fucking grifter on his latest podcast. Here's what he had to say.
I wish I had been involved in the Meghan and Harry leave Spotify negotiation. The grifters.
Deals that once looked certain are suddenly frozen. Thanks to morality clauses, companies can cut ties if a partner is guilty of wrongdoing or just becomes too toxic. That means if this lawsuit ends in a defamation ruling, it could trigger a chain reaction of cancellations and broken contracts.
Everything they do seems so manipulative, calculated, PR motivated, money motivated.
And then comes public trust. Meghan sold herself as a voice for the voiceless, but that image is hanging by a thread. If the court says she used her platform to crush someone weaker, her brand could collapse overnight.
Trying to convert terms like social climber, attention-seeking, and self-serving into the term ambition. Meghan's critics were not really referring to ambition. When they called her a manipulative opportunist, that's exactly what they meant.
Samantha's lawyers plan to hammer that point in closing arguments. The Duchess who preached kindness now accused of causing emotional destruction, and the damage may not stop there. A guilty verdict wouldn't just mean money. It could open the floodgates for new lawsuits from relatives and others who say Meghan's words destroyed them too. Legal experts warn, once one domino falls, the rest follow fast. For Meghan, the courtroom isn't just a trial anymore. It's the stage where everything is on the line. If you think today's bombshells are big, and now Meghan Markle's manipulation tactics on Harry have finally been revealed. We broke it all down in our last video. Don't miss it. This is Hollywood Confidential, where we shine the light where others won't. And the next chapter, it's even darker.